Welcome to Quarantine Stories, powered by #inamstories, #bedtime stories. Hi, what's up? Welcome to Season 1, Episode 19. The title of the story today is The Men Whose Wishes Were Granted. So, there are 3 men and whose wishes are granted. What would you do if your wishes are granted? If that is interesting, then hang on after this message. Alright, so let me increase the brightness a little bit. With that, let's begin with the story. The men whose wishes were granted. This takes place in an olden time, I think around industrial age, okay, where human beings did their basic work for themselves and for others, okay. And the story starts off with the first man. He's gonna snowball into all the stories that will follow of the other people. There's a man, he's a tailor. He keeps tailoring. He's fed up of tailoring. You know, how much will he keep stitching the clothes? He's not getting any money. He wants to have money for himself. He's not married, but he wants money for himself. What will he do? How much can he stitch? He just keeps stitching. There is no money to invest in the tailoring business, but he doesn't know what to do. He just gets fed up one day and he packs up his thing and leaves his house. He's like, I'm gonna go. And this character, the tailor, in his mind, he's talking to himself. The reasoning behind him leaving the house is that he will go and he will meet he'll get rich instantly through some magical power. Just listening to it, it's kind of dumb. So, he leaves the house. So the tailor has left his house with the thought that, there is some magical power and I'm gonna get rich. As he is walking by, there is one woodcutter. He's chopping away the wood. He asks him, where are you going, tailor? The tailor says, I'm fed up of working. I just want to get rich instantaneously. So I'm just going to keep going in until one day I'm going to become rich instantaneously through some magical powers. Woodcutter listens, like, yeah, man, even me, I'm just, look at my hands. It's all torn. There's bruises and everything. What's the point of doing all of this? Let me also go with him and with the same thought. I will also get rich instantaneously. So the woodcutter along with the tailor, they both keep walking to get rich instantaneously. There, as they are walking, they're going to meet the final character. That is the third character. Now the third character is a carpenter. So he's making up some table and all. He asks, where are you guys going? They say, fed up of their life with no money, so going to get rich instantaneously through some magical powers. So until then, we are just gonna keep walking. The tailor did it first and I'm just following the tailor, said the woodcutter. The carpenter listens. He's like, such a dumb, stupid idea this is. But it might work. So let me also go with them. So he leaves his house also and joins the woodcutter and the tailor. So now there are 3 characters: the woodcutter, the tailor, and the carpenter. All 3 of them are walking. Day has passed by and it's night time, so they set up in the forest somewhere. They set up their tent and they cook something. All 3 cook something and they prepare something and they're eating, and one after the other, all 3 are speaking to each other. How wonderful it would be if a fairy helps us out. And there's an old woman, right at that instant, she's walking by. She hears this. And she says, if you give me some food, I will be very thankful to you. So they give the food. And the old woman asks, what is it that all three of you do? And what's your history? What's your story? All three say, magical powers, getting rich instantaneously, having a lot of control in their life. So the old woman says, I am a fairy. I'm a fairy. I thank you for the food that you have given. In return, I will grant you your wishes. So each of you get one wish. So wish what you want. The tailor and the woodcutter and the carpenter are all like joy. They're like, yes, finally, whatever they thought is happening, right? So all three discuss amongst each other. They have come to a conclusion on what their individual wish will be. The tailor says his wish. Tailor says, Madam Fairy, I would like this wish. Whatever I touch, it should just keep expanding. It should just keep going more. He thought, him being a tailor, if he touches a cloth, the cloth is what the investment that he did not have. If he touches the cloth, if that becomes expansive, then it'll be easier for him to do business. He can get all the other tailors. He can be a manufacturer, and he can become rich as he thought. So he asked for the wish of touching and expansiveness. And the second man, the woodcutter, says, thinking, I've been cutting trees a lot, so let me decide. Fairy, Madam Fairy, this hand, whatever it touches, it should break. Thinking, instead of putting through the axe, let me just touch it and it'll break. Touch, break. Touch, break. And the third person says, the carpenter says, whatever I touch has to get fixed. He was the carpenter. So carpenter thought, making a table, for a simple example, there needs to be a lot of gluing rather than cutting, right? So that's the reason he says, I want to touch and it should stick. So let me summarize what those three wishes are. Tailor asks for whatever he touches, the cloth should be expansive. Whatever he touches should be expansive. The woodcutter says whatever he touches should break. The carpenter says whatever he touches, it should glue. It should stick. The old fairy, the old lady says, are you sure that you want that? All three of them says, yeah, we want that. We've lived this life long enough to know what we want, you old lady, fairy. Just do it. The old lady says, all right. And she goes, boom, boom, chak, boom, boom, chak, boom, boom, chak, boom, boom, pak, boom, boom, pak. And your wishes are granted. Let me go. And poof, she vanishes. But the old lady just is in hiding. She just wants to see the obvious, what she already knows what is going to happen. So she's observing, being invisible, behind the bushes. The tailor takes out a cloth and touches the cloth. Becomes expansive. He's like happy. Very happy. Wish is fulfilled, satisfied, he is content. Second man, the woodcutter, goes to the tree, touches, breaks. He's like, whoa, brilliant. Carpenter goes to the same tree that was broken. He puts it back and it's fixed. He's like, oh my god, all three men's wishes has come true. That's what they wanted, and they're so joyous. Taylor just like so joyous, he starts crying, and when you're crying deeply, mucus and all comes out. So he touches his nose, and suddenly the nose becomes a Pinocchio nose like this. It just comes off like this. It becomes longer. Why? Because he had wished for whatever he touches should become expansive. And the woodcutter, what does he do? He sees this and he goes like, oh my god, he touches his thigh and his leg breaks and there's no use and he just falls down completely. He's like, oh, my leg is broken, the bone is broken. And the third guy, the carpenter, like, what happened? And he touches his feet by mistake and his hands are stuck on the legs. So all three, one is holding the nose and it's getting expansive, and the woodcutter's leg is broken, he's crying in pain, and the carpenter's hands are stuck to his feet, and three of them are crying in pain. They don't know what to do. All they're doing is, fairy, please help us, fairy, please help us. Poof! After 5 seconds, the old lady appears saying, what is it? And the three men say, please, can you please take away our wishes? She says, are you sure? Because that's the thing that you wanted. Says, please, we beg you, we cannot do this. We cannot handle these powers. So the old lady says, there's an old saying in the future that's going to come in some comic saying, great power comes with great responsibility. She was a fairy, so she knows she is time immemorial, so she knows. And she goes boom, 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 poof. And they all go back to their normal selves and they thank the old lady and they go back to their original lives. The tailor goes back to tailoring, the woodcutter goes back to woodcutting, and the carpenter goes back to carpenting and creating. So all three realize how important what they did was. So on this note, the story ends. So the takeaway is this: great power comes with great responsibility. And with that, we end the episode 19th of the Quarantine Stories, which is going to transition to a hashtag bedtime stories, which is powered by hashtag inamstories. I am grateful and thankful for your time, and there are greater news ahead. Give me a lot of blessings. I really need them. I have a lot of things to do and make you smile even more through other creative ideas of mine. Hopefully you are enjoying these episodes. Even if you are not, I'm gonna make you smile even more. On that note, this has been episode 19 of season 1, The Men Whose Wishes Were Granted. And till then, I'm gonna be John Cena. You cannot see me. Thank you.